Hello everyone. Today I am here with you all to share the topic from class plus 1 physics chapter 2, that is kinematics. So about this chapter, first of all I would like to tell you that you have already done that little bit terms in class 9 related to kinematics. So mechanics is one of the oldest branches of physics, right? And mechanics is divided into two types. One is statics and another is dynamics. Statics is the study of object at rest, because the static itself, the meaning of static is rest. And dynamics is the study of moving object. Now the dynamics is further divided into two types, that is kinematics and kinetics, right? So kinematics stands for study of relationship between displacement, velocity, acceleration and time, without considering the forces that causes the motion. It means that kinematics is that branch of physics which deals with the study of motion without considering the cause of the motion, right? And kinetics is the deals with the relationship between the motion of the bodies and the force acting on them. This is the difference between kinematics and kinetics. Now we will discuss the various fundamental definitions in kinematics. Very important, particle. You have heard 100 of times that word particle. A particle is ideally just a piece or a quantity of matter having particularly and no linear dimensions but only a position. That means a particle has no dimensions. Dimensions means length, width and height, right? Rest and motion. We all are very familiar with that rest and motion. When the body is said to be at rest if it does not change its position with respect to its surroundings. Whereas motion is the change of position of the object. And the very important thing, when we have to study the motion of the object, then we have to study the change in position with respect to the x, y, z coordinates with respect to the surroundings. And the position of the object changes even due to the change in one, two, or all the three dimensions, all the three coordinates, sorry, right? Position may change, either one of that coordinate will change, or two of them will change, or three of them, or all of them will change, right? First is motion in one dimension. Motion in one dimension means that is very clear to you all that x, y, z are the coordinates for that motion. To specify the position of the object, we use that coordinates. So first is the motion in one dimension. You can see motion in one dimension, that a body is said to be one dimensional motion if only one of three coordinates will specify the position. Like an ant is moving in a straight line. Then motion in two dimension, when the motion of the body is expressed by any two of the coordinates. And three dimension, when all the three coordinates will specify the position of the object. Motion in one dimension, we can say that is rectilinear motion. It is also known as rectilinear motion because in this motion the body always moves in a straight line, right? And to require the study of motion along a straight line, we need position, displacement, velocity and acceleration. So these are the four physical quantities which are required to specify the motion in one dimension. Now the position, displacement and distance traveled by the particle. We know that the motion of the particle can be described if its position is known continuously with respect to time. Here you can see in the figure, I have mentioned that is 2 points P1 and P2 and in between O, right? So the total length of the path is the distance traveled by the particle, and the displacement is the shortest distance between the initial and final position that we all know. Now the distance traveled, if I consider it, is different from displacement from the origin. For example, if the particles move from this point O to P1, right, then to P2, its displacement at the P2 is minus x2 from the origin, but the distance traveled by the particle is x1 plus x1 plus x2. Now you will better clear. Here you can see body is moving from this point O to P1, right? It's moving from O to P1 and then to P2. So this is X1, O to P1 first going O to P1 X1, then P1 to O again X1, then O to P2, then X2, right? That's why I have mentioned there X2. So it will becomes X1 plus X1 plus X2. That is 2X1 plus X1 X2, right? So this the distance traveled is a scalar quantity and displacement is a vector quantity. Now the next is speed and velocity. Speed is the distance traveled in unit time. Scalar quantity velocity is the rate of change of displacement of a particle, or you can say speed with direction is known as displacement. So this SI unit of the speed is meter per second and dimensional formula is LT minus 1. Dimensional formula, you know that how to calculate MLT. These are the three quantities which we are using here. So now the types of velocity. Uniform velocity, if a body moves along a fixed direction and covers equal displacement in equal intervals of time, however small the intervals may be. In case of non-uniform, then it will unequal. In spite of equal displacement, unequal displacements in equal or unequal intervals of time. Average velocity. Now look at this figure. Here the origin is O and the S1 is the displacement of the body in time T1. Suppose this in this time T1 body is reaching here and in time T2 body is reaching at this position S2, right? So the average velocity during this time, how we will calculate? V average will be equal to change in displacement, that is S2 minus S1 divided by time, right? Because whenever we have to calculate, then we can do like this only from this graphical presentation. Instantaneous velocity, meaning of instantaneous velocities. Instantaneous means at any instant. Suppose you are going on a car and at any moment you just look at the speedometer of the car. At that time, whatever the value will be shown on that speedometer, that will be the instantaneous velocity of the vehicle. Next is acceleration. Acceleration, if the magnitude or the direction of both the velocity changes with respect to time, then the particle is said to be acceleration. Acceleration can be defined as change in velocity upon time taken. Right? This is the mathematical representation of acceleration. This is the dimension formula, right? And the instantaneous acceleration in the derivative form you can write also like this. Uniform acceleration, if the velocity changes equally in equal intervals of time, then the body is said to move with uniform acceleration. A retardation or a deceleration means the negative acceleration. Negative acceleration is called deceleration. Uniform motion, when a body moves with constant velocity, that is zero acceleration, right? Now the graphical representation, the graph provides the convenient method to present pictorially the basic information about a variety of events. It's very easy to study from the graph about any quantities which are changing with time or with any other quantity. Like if the displacement, velocity and acceleration are plotted with respect to time, they are known as displacement time, velocity time and acceleration time graph. So first of all, displacement time graph. What is displacement time graph? When the displacement time we will always use in horizontal axis, displacement in the vertical axis. So you can see here displacement versus time, and we know that velocity is equal to change of displacement, rate of change in displacement. So slope of displacement time graph at any instant gives the velocity. So here I can see the particle was 1 at t1 and then 2 t2 and t3, but you can see the particle at time t1 has a positive velocity, right? And at this point it will have zero velocity. Why it will have zero velocity at point 2? Because at that point the body will come to rest, then it will start coming towards the downward direction, and at point 3 the velocity will be negative. Same with the velocity time graph, we know that acceleration is equal to rate of change of velocity. So you can see here I have used horizontal axis representing time and vertical axis representing velocity. Now what? Velocity is equal to rate of change of distance. So here you can see, right? Velocity is equal to ds over dt, but this ds will be equal to v dt. If I will take the integration of both sides by taking the limits for displacement s1 to s2 and for time t1 to t2, so it will become this formula: s2 minus s1 is equal to this. That is area of A, B, C, D. So area under the velocity time graph between the given intervals of time gives the change in displacement or the distance of by the particle during the same interval. Next is acceleration time. Acceleration time. Acceleration time graph. You can see switch on the switch on the risk. So acceleration time graph, when the acceleration is plotted as a function of time, right? When the acceleration is plotted as a function of time, it is acceleration time graph. So acceleration can be written as A is equal to dv over dt, that is rate of change of velocity. If the velocities are v1 and v2, then we can same way take the integration on both sides by changing that limits v1 to v2 for velocity and t1 for t2 for time. So I will get this value v2 minus v1 over this, right? So area under the acceleration time graph gives the change in velocity of the particle during the same interval. If the graph is parallel to the time axis, the body moves with constant acceleration, right? So that is all. Rest we will discuss in the next lecture. Thank you.